Hi folks, welcome to our channel. The official iPhone day is here, which implies now is the ideal time to perceive how the iPhone 14 Pro Max stacks up against the best of the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. As much as Samsung destroys the non-Pro iPhone 14 the robbery edition with its folding flip phone. The gift is similarly reviled when we contrasted the Pro iPhones with its couple-of-month-old Samsung system S22 Ultra. To the surprise of no one, we'll begin with valuing first, and well, it's insane. Apple is the one that is really giving you more worth with a beginning cost of $1,099 for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, while the S22 Ultra is as yet costing $1,199 while being 7 months old. There is a price that the Galaxy S22 has to pay for Samsung, going as far as possible with the foldables. Assuming that we investigate the plan before we even discussion about that bill, this will stun Samsung fans, as Samsung is giving the best showcase to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is surprisingly better than the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Indeed, the iPhone 14 Pro Max displays coming with near 2000 nits brightness compared to the 1715 nits peak brightness of the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Both displays have adaptive refresh rate. This is actually the first time we're seeing Samsung giving their absolute best to Apple. The two phones are rocking displays with 120Hz refreshing rate that can really drop to 1 Hz to conserve power, while the panel on the iPhone may be brighter when it comes to purely aesthetics. The Galaxy S22 Ultra is the best looking phone. Hands down. The iPhone 14 Pro Max has a pill hole which is not as clean for the aesthetics, but with that being said, as we know, Apple, whenever they implement something, they do it different from anyone else, including Samsung. The iPhone 14 Pro Max brings the world's first functional pill hole that has so many functions and software UI enhancements with the all-new dynamic island. This means that the spill hole can morph into different shapes and sizes for things such as incoming phone calls, Face ID authentication, timers, turn-by-turn navigation, and much more. I'm not going to mislead anybody. I really view this as really cool. Once more, it may not be the S21 Ultra style yet, it will have a lot of capability to it, and I'm as of now seeing many individuals really cherishing this execution. Tell me your thought process in the remark area underneath. The pill obviously brings the 3D Face ID, which is still Apple's main form of authentication. While the Galaxy S22 is going to Ultra has an under-display fingerprint scanner. As for the back, the iPhone 14 Pro Max retaining pretty much the same look as the iPhone 13 Pro series, except there's a new purple color. In my opinion, both phones have probably one of the best feel as well as look on the market when it comes to the back design. Let's talk about cameras, because this is where Apple has the biggest change. As I would like to think, I have the new 48 megapixel camera that is taking on the 108 megapixel sensor of the S22 Ultra. As per Apple, this new sensor brings twice better low-light performance compared to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which as of now gives the S22 Ultra an extreme test with regards to the low-light performance, especially in video. The main sensor on the S22 Ultra is pretty good, but it is actually the same sensor as we see on the S21 Ultra from last year. So it's not entirely a fair comparison. Still, when it comes to general photos, it's a pretty good reliable sensor. The video, low light, in any case, is, as I would like to think, the greatest shortcoming in my entire multi-month use. Presently, it is exceptionally fascinating the way that the two organizations are taking care of higher megapixels. Both sensors give you 12 megapixel shorts, of course. Yet, Apple really permits you to take raw photos at 48 megapixels resolution, while Samsung only lets you use it in auto mode. Presently, Samsung actually got that edge over iPhone 14 Pro Max with regards to long-range zoom, since Apple is as yet keeping the zoom at 3x level, though you can do 10x optical zoom on the S22 Ultra, and even take very great photos at up to 30x level, or on the other hand, if you have any desire to go as far as possible, you can go up to multiple times. So the iPhone 14 Pro Glass back will do better when it comes to the portrait video board performance, or you can say cinematic video, because you can now shoot these videos at 4K HDR for the first time on any phone, while censoring who introduced this on their phone, since so long it's still capped at 1080p, though Apple also adds a new front camera sensor that has 2x better low-light performance, so we'll see how it's going to compete against the front camera sensor on the S22 Ultra, which in my opinion is probably one of the best on any phones out there right now. It's so good that both ends are coming at f2.2 aperture, and they can build double as macro lenses. Apple also added Ultra Stabilization Mode, which we had all the S22 Ultra for quite some time. Overall, both phones are backing incredible camera hardware, but Apple, the areas where they were already pretty strong, especially in the video, they're going to get even stronger as the S22 Ultra is 7 months old. That's why I said it's a bit unfair, so it's going to make more sense when the S23 Ultra comes out with the proper main camera upgrade. No, camera performance depends a lot on the actual processor, and this is where the iPhone 14 Pro Max just extends the differences even more. The Apple A16 is once again the world's best microchip that extends the already best A15 chip's performance even further to a level where Samsung can't even touch. The S22 Ultra is the only $1,000+ phone that is coming with a powerful chip that no other Android manufacturer, including Samsung themselves, using on their latest devices, with Exynos 2200 for UK and Europe, and Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 for rest of the regions, which is now being replaced by the Snapdragon Gen 8 Plus Gen 1 that we see on the folding devices and other Android phones. So to bring these chips to the A16 is just so unfair. The A16 uses 30% less power compared to the Apple A15 chip from last year, while increasing from 10 to 15% in overall CPU and GPU performance. In another area where the iPhone 14 Pro Max is going to surpass every single phone on the market is in the battery performance. The S22 gets beaten by the iPhone 13 Pro Max pretty easily, so the 14 Pro Max is only going to extend that lead even further as it adds nearly 102 hours of extra uses with even more efficient chip display and a bigger battery. Now software-wise, we have Android 13 of the S22 Ultra and iOS 16 on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, as Apple has unique customization of lock screen and finally adding always-on display, while side Samsung comes back with this real multitasking features and broader customization. One thing that is core to both operating system is animations, and even after 7 months Samsung has still not done complete justice to it, until we see the official Android 13 version, so hopefully we can get the best performers while Apple is the king of smoothness. This is one area where Samsung really has to improve. Overall, unlike previous years, I feel like it's a bit unfair comparison, as the Answer to All Try has too much of a mileage to compete with the iPhone 14 Pro's A16 chip, the battery life, the camera which can stand on its own, but low-light video is going to get even tougher to compete with considering the old chip that we have on the S22 Ultra. The focus on the cinematic mode on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and to top it all off, Apple actually underguard sensing in value with $100 cheaper price for the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I was sensing a great performance and battery life before for S22 Ultra, but yeah, that's not possible. The Galaxy S23 Ultra will definitely be the real challenge to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which honestly has stunned the competition. Let me know what you think about this in the conversation below. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe for full coverage of the iPhone 14 series and Samsung S23. Please subscribe, like and hit the notification button to get latest updates.